I guess I could hook a controller in. Oh, I think the fuck not, ads. Alright, give me a second. I can plug a controller in. Snooze those fucking ads, dude. I ain't even mad about it. Those fucking ads are literally only getting me like 10, not even 10 cents an ad, so fuck it, snooze them to your heart's content. Alright, are the audio levels good? Does the game need to be louder? Where are we at? Am I obnoxiously loud? What's happened? Come here, Periwinkle, I need friends. Yes. Why is everything always set up for the fucking Xbox? The Xbox blows dick. Good. Alright. Huh? Oh, fuck. There's a lot of characters in this game. Uh-huh. This is interesting. Oh, yeah. Tell me why these models look like they're from the Friday the 13th video game. Am I crazy? Yeah, dude. They kinda... Something went wrong with this... with the sequel. This seems like a child. Why is she in this outfit? Maybe it'll look better in the game. How about we just go? Yeah. Well, chapter 1, right? Yeah. If this game is only like a 30 minutes experience, I'm gonna end it. What the fuck is happening? Game's quiet. All right, hold on. Oh fuck. Oh shit. Oh fuck. Oh fuck. Oh fuck.
밤에 뭐 했길래 자냐? 야, 너 야동 봤지?
어? 아, 무슨 소리를?
얘 얼굴 빨개지는 거 봐. 꼴의 남자라고. 장성태, 오늘 나랑 어디 좀 가자.
어딜?
Oh, it's kind of bad.
어젯밤에 연두구에서 난리가 났대. 전학 온 지 얼마 안 된 학생이 학교를 뒤집어 놨다나?
Yeah, she's kind of a bitch.
이따 일 끝나고 연두고등학교로 와.
이미 졸업한 곳을 왜?
밝혀낼 거야. 예전에 그 사건. 암튼 안 오기만 해. 죽는다.
야, 정수진.
이건 외상으로 달아줘.
Not gonna lie, it kind of looks bad.
장성태, 안 오기냐?
Oh yeah. There's no fucking way you're sneaking. That guy should have saw you. That's bullshit.
멈춰!
Yeah, this is not great. What the fuck
아,
happened?
멈추는 개뿔. 멈출 거면 왜 왔겠냐? 깜짝이야. 장성태. 왔네. 안 오는 줄 알았더니만. 내가 걱정되긴 했나 봐.
Not really, you're kind of a bitch.
어쨌든 왔으니 봐준다 장성태.
Oh boy.
불이 났었나 봐. 무슨 일이 있긴 있었어.
이건 대체
애들이 그러던데 학교에서 어제 성화의 원혼이 나왔다고.
This is directly after the
혹시
first
알아?
game.
오늘 성화를 만나게 될지. 우리한테 뜻깊은 인물이잖아. 김성화. 한 명은 열렬히 짝사랑했고 다른 한 명은 죽도록 증오했고.
문 열어! 거기 있는 거 다 알아!
야, 튀어!
Oh Christ. What is that Iron Man orb on the door? Why the fuck would you close the door on me? I thought we were friends. Oh shit. Oh, this is kinda ass. How do you run? Okay. Yeah, like what the fuck? Don't close the door if you want me to come with you. I don't get you. Cool. No way, 3 minutes? Did that stop it? Are you free? I'm just gonna stay right here then. I'm just gonna chill out right here. No, I'm not going away from this until my friend can view. Oh, hey, Anders. How are you, sweet meat? Hmm. Oh, my fucking eyes hurt, man. Yeah. 1-800 save auto. Something, something, the cars are free. But not really. 12%. This computer does not like this game. Hi, Anders, you're a fat cat. Well, you're not fat, you're just very, very pleasingly slender. Man, I sure wish my friend was here. Put the ad work on him. Three minutes of ads. I'm about to just turn those bitches off, for real. Oh wait, who are they under right now? Okay. Yeah, yeah, I'm not too pressed about it. Oh, actually, fuck all that. Welcome back. I haven't moved. I stayed exactly where I was so that you didn't miss anything. Okay. So what good info were you given on ads today? Hopefully it was something worth your pain. Can you hear anything? The game is like really quiet all of a sudden. That's so fucking funny. Oh, there we go. What the fuck was that about? Do I look like that kind of guy? That's funny. God, fuck off. I found a hexagon-shaped wooden plate that had the word water written on it while working on the scene. Despite the big fire, which definitely happened yesterday, there is no evidence of it having been burnt by fire. When I picked it up to take a closer look, I heard a sharp screech. When I turned around, a badly burnt woman was glaring at me with a furious look in her eyes. I got so startled I dropped the wooden plate. It split into 4 pieces and disappeared. The woman also screamed and disappeared at the same time. Was the woman a fire ghost? I don't know, man. Could have been. Why the fuck am I ticking the evidence numbers? What? For water? The mom from the first game who went back for her daughter, maybe. Yeah, because at the end you did fight her. She was like the last boss. A marker that has one written on it. There are traces of a Chinese character on the back. Yes. Chinese word for water. All fucking ready with this? Okay, so the first key is... The first word is the fucking key for water. On-scene investigation subject, Yondu High School Auditorium. Date of on-scene investigation, 2001. Evidence number, plate arrangement status. Number 1 is in front of the auditorium. Number 2 is in front of the projection booth. 3 is in the Area 4 structure. And 4 is in front of the first floor left hall. Dude, I found out that White Day has a VR experience that you can also play. So, maybe I'll do that. But since you're the VR boy, it'd probably be funnier if you did. It's called, like, Test of Courage or whatever, White Day. Where's the plate? There it is. Okay, so the fourth character is the shrine. Okay, so water, shrine. She stole 6 from your part-time job and then drug you into the burnt remains of the old high school while the cops are still tagging the scene with evidence, and for what? She wanted to figure out what really happened here, guys. She's on the case. She's a dumb bitch is what she is. No. Sorry, no. Maybe don't hang out with this girl. She's on her way to a life of criminal felonies. Oh, yeah. This isn't even scary. Like, I signed up because the original White Day scared the fuck out of me. But this is just kind of... I sneak past her? Okay. That do be a fire ghost. The ghost of fire. Thank you? Hold on. Can I not change the sensitivity because this sucks? This shit like a fucking 9. We already know what happened here from the first game though, right? Oh yeah, absolutely. But apparently that girl wants to find out what really happened, which wasn't the ending that we got. The true ending is where, like, you go into the labyrinth and you, like, fight the one bitch. Or whatever. I know, I should have played the first one and then played the second one, but, like, now that I'm back in the school, it's all coming back to me. You know, when you kiss me like this and when you touch me like that. It's all coming back to me. What? Okay, that was kind of ruined because I wasn't looking at her. Yeah, he was nice and he was cute. And I don't know what happened. Like, game design is hard, I get that, but whatever happened, whoever did the character design for this game, not as good, I'm gonna be honest. Okay, Mizu, tree. Okay, tree, water, shrine. He was cute, and even though he didn't talk, he was kind of sassy. Oh, yes, very true, very true. It's impossible to go deeper through the stand because the ceiling structure collapsed. Fortunately, there's a ladder that goes up to the stand inside the auditorium, so I can get to the other side. The operations manager told us to install the hydraulic pump on the other side of the structure, even though I was going to use the hydraulic pump to remove the structure. I had to move that heavy thing with the ladder. I have no idea why we had to work in such a difficult way. Okay, guy shaking the maracas, tree, water, shrine. Got it. What is stopping those officers from coming through the front fucking door? I have so many questions. Water, tree, man shaking the maracas, and I've been studying Chinese. I got a streak going on, so... Wait, what the fuck? There was no mark there, so how was I to know? Kinda a little bummed that it's the same location. first game, but also new characters. Like, please just give us a new story if you're gonna do new characters. Well, I feel like that's what Swan Song was originally gonna be, and then they scrapped Swan Song and they gave us this. Is this the key to the day? It is not. Very well. Hello? Does the game sound alright now? Or we get you? Like, it's not so bad to have the same location with new characters, but like, remember what we talked about yesterday about hating annoying characters? Yeah. Yeah, and I don't even know these characters yet. Where's the first guy? What happened to him? Oh, I just realized looking at the capture, this game is dark as fuck, huh? Do you need me to, like, brighten it? Oh yeah, no, she sucks. Okay, so... Okay, well, it doesn't look like I can... I can't brighten the resolution anyways, so I guess you just gotta live with that. Cool. Thanks. Yesterday on March 13th, there was a fire assumed to have been caused by arson at Yondu High School's auditorium. The auditorium was burned to the ground and a girl was found dead. According to school officials, this girl always wandered around the school and even trespassed there outside of hours. Police are looking for any connection between the girl and the arson. It's worth noticing that this is similar to the incident in which a girl died in a fire in the home ec room 3 years ago. Okay, so wait. Maybe that's what the BFF is coming here to solve. Maybe she wants to know about the girl who died 3 years ago, not what happened here, like, yesterday. Oh, hey, I didn't even notice this. A flammable material was suspected of being involved in the fire at Yondu High School's auditorium. The auditorium sprinkler was activated and the first fire was subdued. After seeing the sprinkler not working immediately after the fire happened, we are investigating anything that is related. Notably, there have been reports of strange abnormalities from some of the members. It might have been an optical illusion due to stress and exhaustion, but the observations of the members are consistent. It's hard to believe, but they all say they saw a woman that had been burnt. Even harder to believe, the witness stated that it was a young woman wearing hanbok. She wasn't wearing hanbok when I fought her at the end of the game. She was just kind of in like a fucking dress. I don't know, so far this is a very solid story. I don't really like the characters. The models don't have the same charm. Maybe they retconned it. I'm just don't retcon your shit. Don't do that. Makes you look like an asshole. What fucking key is this? Key to the left hall corridor. What? Oh yeah. Wait, is this where it goes? Where is there another locked door? This? This. Hello, Mistress Hanbok. Nice, nice little block hit sounds, very Fatal Frame-esque. Huh? Why'd you close the door? Don't do that. Yeah, the sounds are good. Don't close the door. I hear shit. I hear something. I hear creatures. Daddy don't like it. The models aren't even bad just before. Yeah. I think the old ones, for me, they... What is it? What do I want to... What am I trying to say? Let me find the words. They didn't look like blow-up dolls, and they weren't as shiny. No offense to these models. No, never mind. It's going to sound offensive no matter what I say. These models look like blow-up dolls, and they're a little too shiny for me to enjoy. I like the style. That's true. I feel like because they scrapped their original plans and then went with this, maybe it's just, you know, a lot of shit fell to the wayside. But you know what, damn it, we're going to enjoy ourselves. Why the fuck did I unlock it then? Kick it in. Just kick it in. Yeah, same. I prefer the cutesy anime-esque, like, cause it had personality. Those older models. That's what I've been trying to say. There was personality to it. Also, what the fuck? Why let me unlock it if I can't go in? What? It's fine. Is there anybody down here? Okay, thank you. Yeah, they had that charm about them. I'm sorry that you died, lady. Maybe you shouldn't have got possessed. Can we talk about how I came up that ladder and just phased right through that? Pick it up. Pick it up. Well, I guess we're here for the long haul then. Sure wish I could do something about this. Oh, I have a fucking flashlight. There, now you guys can see. Sorry. Wait, so how do I get down then? What the fuck is going on there? We're here, McQueer. Is there a white day for the queers, or do we just do that on the same day as everyone else? You just do it on the same day as everybody else. As far as I'm aware. Ah! Well, that certainly isn't gonna fucking draw their ire. In a white day game where you're queer, then. True. Where all the ghosts just want a taste of you. Get the fuck off of me. Hey! Quit it! Take it fucking easy. No, she hated it. I don't like
정신!
Sujin. I don't like Jung Soo-jun. Oh, cool. Already dying. Okay, let me just pop a squat. Let me recover real quick. Thanks. What happened to the guy from the first game? Oh, we're back, boys. Oh, true. What the fuck? Good? Alright. How'd that happen? I was just trying to answer the phone. How'd that happen to you? Yeah, I hope so too. Oh, we're just not gonna talk about that? Like, you don't care? Okay. Oh yes, I remember it all so vividly. It's all coming back to me. Ah yes. Just like fucking everything. Hello? Ooh, I see some rippers. Facility Management Department, PE teacher Lee Jun-suk. We have not received the tool that was used to cut the lock on March 7th yet. Please return it as soon as possible. Okay. I would like to have it. I cannot have it. How about no? How about Sog my nog? It's mine now, and I shan't be returning it. Oh, this doesn't look like a possessed notebook or nothing. The Nightmare in the Small Auditorium. Holy shit. In my dream, I was standing in the middle of the small hall. There were mannequins fixed in the stand holders covered in tears of blood. I was so scared, I pulled and pushed the door to get out, but it wouldn't budge. And then I saw a piece of paper on the floor. Find my body. I thought a limbless mannequin was talking to me. That gave me the idea that I might be able to escape this place once I find its limbs. It might sound bizarre, but it didn't feel so weird in the dream. I detached the limbs from other mannequins to find them. But then those other mannequins began waving their arms and legs to come after me. Armless mannequins and legless mannequins coming after me. It was so scary. In the end, the mannequins got me, and then I woke up. It was a creepy nightmare. Yes, a death note full of squig. Oh, sick. Karadawa Sakashite? What does that mean? Many mannequin? Oh, shit. They gave us a fatal frame camera. Let's go. How do I bring it up? Suhyun, or Sohun, aren't you curious about why the cabinet in our photography club is always locked? I was always curious about it. The teachers just tell us not to touch it when we ask them about it. Where do you think the key is? Rumor says that you could find it in the first floor's girls' bathroom in the main building 1. But didn't they say it was under construction when they were fixing the ventilation system yesterday? It means find my body. It's a whole thing. I'll have to explain it to you later. Okay. Somebody was listening to the tunes. God, a lot of reading. Dear members of the photography club, the wall between the photography club and the gym storage has been taken down due to the unfortunate gym closet incident. This recent tragedy has caused an upheaval at our school. A student has leaked the school's internal affairs to a reporter in an interview. Do not agree to interviews when asked, and take care not to lose focus on your studies because of the rumors. I do love me a fucking Walkman. You think I can guess this? Nope. Sure can't. Oh, they don't let you open every drawer, like... I would like to believe there are, but if there are, then they're only on the highest difficulties, because the secret ghosts only showed up if you played on hard or higher. And I'm playing on easy because it's my first time and I'm a bitch. Hello? Oh, it's Sujin.
왜 여기 있어? 문 열었는데 없어서 놀랐어.
누가 날 부르는 소리가 들렸어. 와보니까 한나영이 있더라.
한나영이라면
맞아. 우리가 2학년이었을 때 학교에서 혼자 목매고 죽은 애 말이야.
Cool.
날 왜 부른 거지? 억울하게 죽은 원한이라도 풀어달라는
You think I
걸까?
give a fuck?
어쩌면 성아의 죽음에 연관이 있을지도 몰라. 성아랑 나영이는 친했잖아. 그리고 이거 바닥에 있었어.
강서연?
맞아. 우리 학교 다닐 때 그 교생 그 사람이 떨어뜨렸나 봐.
Sujin, you're an asshole. I give zero fucks about your character.
강서연에 대해
Same.
알아보자, 성태야.
왜?
Where'd you get the photo?
그 여자가 이 학교 학생일 때 그 여자와 같은 동아리 학생이 죽었어. 그 여자가 이 학교 교생으로 왔을 땐 성아와 나영이 지원 선생님이 죽었고.
Oh,
근데
that's how little I
그거
give a
알아?
fuck about her.
강서연이 음악 선생으로 오니까 결국 학교가 이 꼴이 났잖아. 이게 다 우연이라고 생각해?
I don't know.
수상하긴 한데
겉봐.
Can I please have the money for the
수상하지?
Marlboros you stole?
우리 같이 알아보자, 성태야. 성아가 왜 죽었는지. 강서연을 파헤치다
We
보면
don't need to know why Sung-ah
성아의
died,
죽음도
okay?
알 수 있을지도 몰라.
응, 알았어.
난 강서연이 수업하는 음악실에 가볼 테니까 넌 음악 공연을 많이 했던 4층 소강당을 좀 조사해봐.
Can we not stick together? I want it. Oh, I remember these, the fucking flesh plants. Sando. Yes, I remember the plants, little bastards. It's exactly like your sandal, except your sandal isn't ripped like that sandal. Bullshit, you just left this here. Oh, shit! Fuck! Yep, she's still here. Good to know she's still in here. Let me just, shit my pants real quick. Sorry if you heard that, but, that's how I feel. God, what a fucking bitch. Oh, shit. Word? Hell yeah. I'm assuming that's to this, then? Okay, it's just a book. We went on a dare just because of the theater club members suggested it. As president of the theater club, I should have stopped it. I only wanted to cheer up the members who were exhausted from many days of late-night theater practice. I never imagined it would lead to this horror. The body was found in the bicycle club. They say that it was cruelly maimed, especially on the face. I don't know all the details, because the school is trying to cover it up. According to the occult club, many ghosts hold a grudge toward Yondu High. Maybe it was the wrong decision to test your courage with a ghost like that. Cool. You dare laugh at me, man? You dare laugh at my fears? So she just locked it behind her? God dang it, Sujin. Head of the school. Key broke while trying to unlock the third floor shutter lock. The lock needs to be cut away to open the third floor shutter. Requesting the facility manager to retard to the day. You're gonna let your guard down at some point. It's gonna get you again. I can feel it. Yeah. Yeah, it's yeah. I was so confident. I'm like, this game ain't shit. I know how wrong I was. It's only because I was lulled into a false sense of security. Any puzzle pieces like in the original? Any bathroom ghosties? Oh no, wait, you could only find the special shit on the higher difficulties, I remember. They don't exist in the baby difficulties. I'm still gonna look, though. They don't reward you with fun stuff on baby difficulties. I mean, so far I haven't really had any threat. The only threat's been the freaking box ghost. Ah yes, the door that won't open. My beloved. Okay, so what the fuck? I don't want to go down those stairs. I don't want to do it. I have to, but I don't want to. Up or down? We're going down. Ah yes, I remember. Oh hey, sick. Key to opinion box. I'm so fucking sorry for the sheer amount of gas in my body right now. Ah, yes, of course, of course, of course. Oh shit. Okay. Once there was a girl who was from an unhappy family. Maybe it was due to her unstable mental state, but she didn't have a good relationship at school. Home and school were both a living hell. She eased her agony by cutting her wrists. Every time she hurt herself, she felt alive. She began coming to school with bandaged wrists, but as always, no one really pitied her. They would just sneer at her. Eventually, the girl decided to end her own life. The next morning, the students found her in the middle of the classroom in a puddle of blood. Her body was covered in slashes. Cool. How about we don't do that? That'd be fun. Let's play... Yeah? Oh, I don't want to, Queen. Oh. There's always something. Stop it. With your ghosts. What? I don't like it. Quit. No point to be doing this to me. We're not going that way yet. Oh, hey, sick book. Have you heard? Apparently there's a basement in our school building. No one knows because it was built such a long time ago. They say there was a hospital here before our school was built. So this basement is full of lost souls that died in the hospital. They say that if you step inside, you won't be able to come back out alive. It's just a story, but isn't it creepy? What is with the Asian cultures just being so obsessed with if you go down there, you're not coming back alive? Oh well. No taxes. I know that not everybody has that mindset because there are some people that are mentally sound in this world, but... Is this where this one goes? Cool. No. Miss A's friend, Miss B, had a trivial fight. Miss B said she'll wait for Miss A in the home ec room because she went to make up with her. However, Miss A did not go, and there was a fire in the home ec room that night. After Miss B's death, Miss A suffered from guilt. In the end, her hanging dead body was found at school. Ever since, they say Miss A is seen at school from time to time. That was Miss A, huh? Unfortunate. Can I go in? I would like to go in. Is this not the machine room? Welcome back. I saw a ghost. I got spooked by a toilet that flushed on its own. I found a few more notes, and now I'm trying to find, now I'm trying to find how to get, into the room with the things, you know. Okay, so what opinion box is there now? I didn't see one up. So there's nothing up there. Is there an opinion box here? I'm already stuck. Don't do this. Don't do this to me. Oh, a cooking room. What? Where? I heard a woman moaning. I don't know where she was, but I heard it. Getting a lot of opinion keys. I do love me a home ec room, even though I never participated in home ec myself. Nice. Which one's banging? Oh god. Oh god. What was the point of coming in here? That sounds good. What do you want? What the fuck was that? What is going on? Am I fucking high? Oh, shit. Hey, hey, whoa. Oh, I'm sorry. Fuck. Oh, God. Yeah, Yomori is a very long game. You should finish playing it. Oh, it hurts. What key did I just even pick up? Photography Club secret cabinet. Okay. They're jump scares, but they're effective. My wrist hurts now because I slapped it so hard. There were once others who killed like me. It's been a long time since they lost their minds from their grudge and excruciating suffering. Maybe they think they can't pass on because their bodies rotted away. They get in my way as I try to find my own body parts, and they get angry and attack whenever I'm just trying to take back what's mine. Okay. Bunch of psychos in this school, it would seem. Cool. So can we not save in this game, like with the telephones? I don't know how I feel about this get key to get key to get key and read 3 notes in a row kind of. Yeah. Oh, also speckled in there will be jump scares. And then you'll find a key to get 3 more notes. And you'll love it. You'll love every second of it. Oriental Knowledge class, 4 Guardian Gods in the 5 circles. The 4 Guardian Gods represent the Blue Dragon, White Tiger, Vermilion Bird, and Black Tortoise, who are holy beasts guarding east, west, south, and north. They protect the order of the universe and are considered to look over spring, autumn, summer, and winter. Each of the 4 Guardian Gods also represents each of the 5 elements. Blue Dragon represents wood, the White Tiger represents gold, the Vermilion Bird represents fire, and the Black Tortoise represents water. In this way, the 4 Guardian Gods and the 5 circles are the most essential parts of Oriental studies that cannot be left out. That's cool, but what the fuck does that do for me? What puzzle is that solving for me? Shut the fuck up. I would like to know what puzzle is going to be solved for me with the birds and the birdo and skin. Can I open it from this side? Hey Sujin, how the fuck are you dealing with all these puzzles? That's what I'm saying. She's doing so well, and I'm suffering. Is this not the photography club room? It is not. I'm on fucking edge. Oh, what's in there? The teachers just knew that this was back here? I don't know the MC's name anymore. It's gone. Jock something? I don't know. But I don't like that this cabinet opened up into demons. What do you think this is? Moon... I don't know, we're going in, I don't care. Hello? Hello? Cool, another note. Moon Ok was an ordinary woman who lived in the mountains with her husband and her child. One day, war broke out and her husband was drafted. On the night of a bombardment, Moon Ok took her child and hid in a black mountain cave. But while she was dozing off, the child that she held in her arms disappeared. Moon Ok ran out of the cave to look for her child, despite being people telling her not to go. After calling out her child's name for a while, she died a horrible death engulfed by flames from incendiary bombs. Good. Okay, I got the blue cutter. Cool. My eyes hurt. I think this game is killing me. I want to know how to get in here. Because it's like, I don't want to wait. I'm going to, but I don't want to. I think they said the third floor is the one that needs pried open. Come on, pump it. Access gained. Oh no, now I have too many avenues. What? Hello? Oh, fuck shit. They're possessed. Great. Wait, where's it coming from? Same. Well, that's one of the police officers that came in here to get us. He's possessed now. As it always happens. How do I know when he's gone? I'm gonna be honest. I did not miss that part of the game. Because now it's just like, now I can't explore because I don't know where the fuck. Yeah, that's true. The first game was just scarier in general. Yeah, but in all honesty, the first game was just better. I wonder if they could still hear us walking like in the first game. Because he'd come running if he heard you from like 2 floors away. Same. I think for me, it's less of like being chased and more of if I hear the footsteps approaching me quickly, I get freaked out. Oh no. No, wait, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Oh, this is kind of bad. There's no scary music like with the janitor. Oh, this guy kind of sucks. Man, once he's on you, it's kind of over. Yeah, like, there's no scary music. He's not screaming. What the fuck happened? This is kinda ass. Kinda bad. Yeah, I miss him. I miss the janitor. Well, now what am I to do? Oh yeah, he was genuinely a problem. I got the music and shit up. He just doesn't have any. Hey, stop. Stop it. Stop it. Yeah, about those cops. How you getting past those, Sojin? I hear him out there being a bastard. So sorry that I've been ripping ass for like an hour. Can I please just fucking go? Is he gone? Yeah, I hear his walkie-talkie. Just fucking leave. I'm trying to play a game. Oh yeah, we are Garbage Factory Solidarity. There are tips. If you see a woman in a red coat in the fourth hall after 10 p.m., run away immediately. Afterward, notify the school watchman when you're safe. If you can't run away from her, she will ask you a few questions. Try. Oh, the slipmouth woman. I don't care. She can literally get fucked. Chisaka Ona. What's going on with this fucking ritual circle? She asks if you think she's pretty, ask her if she thinks you are instead. Yeah. Literally just hold up a mirror and walk away. There's a bookcase called the Haunted Bookcase in the first year classroom 10. Surprisingly, there are textbooks in it, and they say that if any of the books are missing for some reason, the locker won't open. Because of that, it's very annoying when students who like to play tricks steal the books, which happens often. Even this time, a student from the photography club and one from classroom 1-5 stole a science book and a history book. I should find them tomorrow and give them a scolding. Okay, so what's happening is you're getting keys to unlock doors to find notes about the ghosts in the school, so you'll go hunt them down to get jump scared. All while running away from a police officer that just really isn't a threat. But he's up here now, so he heard me talking shit. Did he leave? Stop. Stop writing. Pissing me off. Nothing even showed up like in the original game. There's no writing. That's so whack. They just kind of gave up, huh? They just threw you back into the same setting, and they were like, "Here's all the ghosts that scared you in the first one. Hope you'll get scared by them again." There's no fucking lock. Whatever, it's fine. Thank you for the camera. Oh, dude, Milkus. You know that's rotten. I love me some Milkus. Oh, dude, what the fuck? Okay, well, I missed something. There are vending machines, but they don't seem to have a purpose. There aren't any coins that I can glean like in the original. I would love a sweet Milkus. Right about now, it would certainly, you know, help me feel better. Oh, dude, Milkus. Shit. No. Just quit it! Quit it! You fucking suck! I'm streaming. I'm streaming! Yeah, his running animation sucks. Oh, God. I didn't want to believe them about this game being bad. Because I love the first one. It has such a compelling story. Let me close my door real quick. Get out of the way, Andy. Oh, high five. Yeah, he just can't figure it out. He's like, I see this dumb twink running into the bathroom. Where's he going when he gets in there? I don't know. He's still out there. He hears me talking immense amounts of shit. God. I don't know, probably at least 2 hours or so. Why, are you tired? Because I can stop and then pick this up at a later time. Oh shit, he's up here. Yeah, I'll be here. Can a man just live a life right now? Oh, that's clearly... Yeah, there's something up about this. Couldn't tell you what, though. This is just... White Day. A labyrinth named school. Shut up, dude. Was I in this one already? Oh yeah, because it's the Milker store. I don't even know how to use these disposable cameras. Okay, hey, that was pretty good. That was a pretty good one. Hello? Bitch, what? See, things are happening, but things aren't happening, you feel me? Like, I'm witnessing aggressions. God damn it. Lee Hee-min. Well, he's cool and I want him back. He's my baby boy. Lee Hee-min to me is Link. He's a Link. Yeah, like, I'm witnessing aggressions. They're not happening to me. What are... Dude! Like, shit is happening, but there aren't visuals. Yeah, he's baby. He's baby and I love him. I'm so fucking mad. The shit happening around me is hilarious. I sure wish I could fucking see it. The original game already would have had a ghost down my back. Fuck. Don't come in here. Don't come in here. Please, please, Daddy. Just go fucking find Sujin or whatever the hell. Fuck this guy. You should play Calling on stream, but also do the New Game Plus playthrough where you play Makoto's story too. See, I want that, but it's impossible to emulate Wii games. Like, I tried... No, no, no. No, no, no. And I don't have a Wii anymore, so... If I wanted to capture card it, I couldn't. You do have a Wii. Now we just gotta get you the calling. No, I'll play it. I love these Japanese and like Asian and Chinese horror games. Like, they're all unique as fuck and I like playing them. Gotta play The Grudge. From on the Wii too. Dude, that was such a cool feature, and I'm like really upset that As far as I'm aware, no other game on the Wii did that, and it never felt as terrifying. Like, games emulate that on the PC, where, like, they'll send shit to your desktop, but that's not the same. Because that's on a computer. Anything's possible on a PC, but that shit was messaging my Wii. It was so good. Hey, I love the shit that's happening. Would sure love to see it. Yeah, I'm sad that the Wii died and they didn't do more games like that. I would have loved a Calling 2. Fuck you, bitch. Get back in the box. I'm so fucking tired of you. A Morse code remote? Okay. Sure, dude. I love Morse code. The obelisk. The crucible. Good God, good luck with whatever they have planned for you. Nothing good. The obelisk, yes. I want to wait till you get back, because, like, I don't want to, like, have you miss anything. Must you go with them to get cat materials? Can they not acquire cat materials? I will fill you in. I will fill you in so hard. But sir, your knee. Oh, sir, your knee. I get it, though. I get it. Fuck off. Don't! Good. I'm happy to hear that. Yes. Is he fucking gone? Dude, I'm just trying to live. Okay, I will do my best. Oh, he went through the door I wanted to go through. Is that him? Yeah, that's Big Daddy. Fuck. Go away. Dude, if he doesn't leave, I'm gonna be so pissed. Don't do that. Every day I wake up. Oh, he went through that door. Why is he everywhere I'm trying to go? It's fine. Big energy. He can't hurt me if I don't let him. This place sucks just as much as I remember it. Please note that the Bicycle Club and Theater Club have been disbanded. August 19th, 1997. They were fucking around too hard. What would you even do in a bicycle? Stop it. I was about to ask what you even do in a bicycle club, and the ghost was like, say no more. Yeah, I don't know. Why are there so many locked things that require a skink? Huh? We have pride in the Bicycle Club. Most of the trophies in front of the small auditorium belong to the Bicycle Club. We have so much pride that even the password to the lock of the Bicycle Club locker is the date that we won. Pride is really something else. Okay, so small auditorium and the date. Oh, god damn it. No! And the date they won is the password. Got it. No 1 won the 8th group cycling competition. No 2 won second place in the 38th bicycle race. No 3 won the 40th bicycle race. No 4 won the 82nd national sports competition. P.S. You can check the dates at the trophy display near the small auditorium. Wait. Hold on. Eight, 3, 8, 4, 0, 8, 2. Probably that's probably not it, but we're gonna do it. No, because it said it was the date, and that's not a date. That's just. Please don't come in here. I'm so weak-willed. Like that locker ghost has beaten me down. I ain't got nothing left to give you. Plus, this is a late stream for me, so. Chill the fuck out. Where's that auditorium at? Fucking quit it. Let's go up or down. We'll find out. Okay. Okay. You're saying I can't use the pliers on just all the locks? So where did he go? Don't come in here. I don't hear him, and that worries me. Fuck. Is he up here? He could be anywhere. I don't hear his radio, though. Oh, okay, so this is where I came from. Oh, this sucks. Wait, how is that one down there open, then? He can just open whatever door he wants. Wait, what the fuck? Oh, okay. I see. I'm the fool. The sound is really good. The sound design is great. Okay, cool. Needs a key. Love it. Never been happier. Fuck, dude. Oh, Papa? Wait, is this where I already was? Fuck, it was. Wait, was it? This seems... Huh. No, this isn't the same way, because that door's locked. So this is different, it's just mirrored. You don't scare me, you ghost bitch. Except she does. What is the point anymore? Because you can't find coins. I wonder what it wants me to use the Morse code for. Fuck. I'm so sorry for the sheer ass I'm ripping, I really am. I had a glass of fucking milk and it was a problem. What's even my objective right now? There isn't one as far as I'm concerned. Thanks? Sure would have loved to see something happening. It's just a damn funhouse in here. Cool. Awesome. Let's just have something in the desk. It always sounds like he's around and I hate it. This school continues to look like shit. Where is he? Oh boy. Y'all can't see and I feel terrible. If that was on hard, he would have done. Do you see her looking at me? That's pretty good. You probably didn't see her though in the fucking dark. I just realized these pickup commands are like the Resident Evil 7 pickup commands. Like the way they look. I think he fucked up back through there again, so I'm gonna use this time. That needs a wind. Oh, here we go. Can't read Korean though, so this is about to be really awkward. One 9980426. I ain't gonna fucking remember that. Where's my pen? Where's my freaking index cards? Jesus. I have no short-term memory, you have to understand. $19.98 0426. Understood. Oh, okay, so I have to have it for all of them. Got it. 19. The fucking 8? I guess. 1987 06 28. Nineteen 7/12. Hey, that's my exact birthday. 1990. I fucking think it's a 5. 1995. 0416. Alright. Anything of use in here? I was ready to get scared. Something's afoot. Here's static. I hear him. Fuck is he coming from though? I finally managed to find the key to the theater club. The school says they will clean up the theater club that has been closed, but as the head of the club, I just can't let that happen. The accident was unfortunate, but I can't let the hard work of the other members and me go to waste. First, I should put the key in the locker and monitor the situation. Hey, maybe don't do that. That's how you get expelled and you lose all your fucking hard work and scholarships. Is that what you want, Buckaroo? He was here recently. I just want all of the stuff in those lockers. I don't care about anything else. Nice. Okay, so... Oh shit, I didn't write down who was who. Fuck. Well, we're gonna find out. One... 19... Oh, okay, so it's... Okay. So it's just the month and the year? Oh, shit. How do I look at my notes? First place is the 8th group. So, well, that doesn't fucking help me. Fine, we'll start with 1. On God? No. Stop. Ugh. Just when I was finally doing some work. Maybe I could juke him. Ow! Stop it. Oh, he's gonna kill me. God damn it. Oh, that's unfortunate. Fuck. Wait. Oh, don't tell me that. How far back am I? There's about to be a rage in my heart that you can't actually understand. Oh my god. That is my fault for not saving. Got no one to blame for that but myself. But he's going exactly where I want to go, so... Shut up! Not even scary. I love you, Cyrus. He's being very cute today. Hey, now let me fucking try this again. Okay, his wasn't that. His isn't that. Not that. I'm confused then. I'm very confusion. I gotta wait here for fucking daddy. I'm not above this. Oh, my bones. Did he fuck off? Thanks. Cool. Nothing? Whack. Oh. Oh, cool. The Bicycle Club is going to be disbanded because of the death of a member of the theater club in the Bicycle Club's room. A member of the theater club went to the Bicycle Club room on a dare but was found with her mouth cut from ear to ear after practice was over. I heard that the freshman girl from Class 7 dared her to do this since she's been interested in the masked ghost. According to the occult club, the masked ghost died an unjust death. But since they messed with a ghost like that, they must have had it coming. You would think so. It's kind of fucked up to say. Key to first year classroom 10. Okay. So wait, he... So he can just open those, huh? But I can't. Cool. God damn it. Wait till he gets up here, wait till he gets up here, wait till he gets up here, wait till he gets up here. Juke him! Okay, never mind, he can't be juked like that. Christ alive. Juke him! Why must you beat me? I'm just a boy. Yeah, this is totally scary. He almost had me. Ah! Okay, 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 okay. I didn't expect him. I didn't expect he would do it. Drink your water. I'm drinking that water. I'm drinking that water. I'm about to be so pissed if I have to do that again. Just please tell me it's saved after the fucking lockers. I don't care. Just please. Okay. Thank you so much for the redeem and also welcome, Artsy. Currently being hunted. How are you this evening, by the way? Ow, freaking shoulders, I'm so tense. Ah. He's kind of dumb. Being hunted? Oh, nor. Oh, nor, Clear. Oh, yes, the hunt abounds. He's so hungry for it, too. I don't want it. Please just fuck off. Alright, I'm gonna continue on my fucking way. I'm fine, came back from dinner with siblings, and I returned with coffee. Heck yeah! What kind of coffee? Is it delicious coffee? I can't fucking read. 1, 6, which means 7, 8, 9, 10 are downstairs. Wait, what? Ooh, me like Mocha. Mocha's good. 1, 6. Okay. So where's 110? Is it on the other side? God. Fuck. Yeah, it probably is over there. Oh, I gotta get through him. Okay. Let's do it. You know it's my favorite. I don't know where he is, and it makes me so upset. Welcome back. Well, he beat me to death twice. I got a key to classroom 110, except I don't know how to get to it. So that's where I'm at. Like, there aren't many places to go. But I don't know. Yes, Calippo is the champion. Oh wait, this door's open. I'd say Calippo. Oh, I found him. But he's down here too. Don't turn around. Keep going about your business. That was a quick jaunt. That was a quick little strollsy stroll. Oh, I want brownies. Solani wants bounties. Solani's playing a dangerous fucking game. Brownie for Lonnie, brownie for Artsy. Are you just a student wandering around the school and he kills you when he sees you? Yeah, this is White Day 2, so it's a sequel to the first one. And there's just kind of ghosts and demons in the school. And in the first game you went there because of some girls, but in this one your childhood bestie was like, what if we went and we figured out why there's ghosts and now we're getting haunted? Brownie for everybody. I could go with a nice brownie right now. No, I love you. Oh, I picked up a document I didn't read. Shit. I think the bookcase here. Oh, I think the bookcase in our class is haunted. Why does strange stuff happen when I organize the books for Thursday's schedule? Well, there certainly is shit happening that I'm still not privy to. Yes, brownies are good. Brownies are numbers. Go, get out. Get out. Get out. You know what you've done. I don't have a book, though. Shit. Did I need a book? I don't have a book. I want a brownie while I play a Spookies. Could you show me what's happening? I would love to see any kind of fucking visual input. I should have just played the first game. Oh, I don't have the book, so where the hell do I get the book? I will play. It will be so rage-inducing, but I will play the first game on hard mode. Now I gotta go find a book. How is there music when he sees me, but there's not music when he chases me? No, we're gonna play it on hard mode. I'll play it on nightmare mode. Don't play. Don't play. I'm here to suffer. Because I'm an E-clown. So where's the book at then? Where's the book for Daddy? Oh boy. Yeah, literally, we're 2 hours into this and fuck all has happened. She did not. She's still doing her own thing. As far as I'm concerned, she's dead. Like, I don't know. Like, I have to do something with these books in the thing, but like, there's nothing. I can't find the book. What does it matter? What does it matter? There's no book. I don't know where to get it. Oh, Jesus. Where's the book? Anybody want to do me a solid and just look up, like, where to find the book? If there's even a walkthrough for this game? If anybody suffered it, like I'm suffering it. There's a book that's in class 110. There's like a stack of books, and I'm missing one that I have to put in there. Okay, so what's going on right now is I'm in classroom 110 in Yondu High School, the second game, and there's a column of books, and there's a book missing that I don't have that I have to put there in order to get an item that I presumably need, but I don't know where the book is. He's driving me up a wall. Shut your mouth. Dad? Dad? Oh, God's sake. Now we wait. Oh, man. One book in Photo Club Room 1. Oh, one club and book in Photo Room, one book in Room 25. God, fuck. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. The thing is, right, is when I played the first game, I was constantly on edge, and not once did I yawn. I have yawned probably 10 times now during this. So it doesn't feel great. Yo, welcome. Yes, Calliope. Oh god, I'm bug bad. What do you mean the door's locked and it won't open? Why do you hate Daddy? Why do you hate me? Yeah, I feel that. My internet's a little slow too, because it's been storming here. Fuck. Yes, cool. That's fair, I don't blame you. There's a Rubin 2.5, you say. Okay. No! No! Fuck, dude. Just let me have 2.5. Why do you hate me? Oh! Me snubbing this bed after stream, I'm gonna sleep. Gate. Gate. Cool. The thing is, right, it's like, I gave a shit about the puzzles in the first game. I don't care in this game. I don't understand the point of them because nothing substantial is happening. And this guy sucks. Just like sometimes he's scary. He through here. Fuck him then. The janitor was a threat. This police officer's a cuck. Sorry, I don't mean to complain. I'm glad they gave us a second game. It's just like I had no expectations even, and I'm still like fuck, dude. Please just let me through. How do you expect me to get to room 2.5 if you won't let me through? Genuine question. I'm just praying to the gods that don't listen, I guess. Nope. Nope. That's what I can't get to room 25 though. I don't get it. Like, I'm not saying you're lying to me. Don't think that. I'm just saying the game hates me. Like, if you're in a big stage like a big school, I feel like they have to make finding stuff a bit more easy, or else the player will try to look for the key item for a long time. Yeah, I'm pretty fucking bored right now, I'll be honest. Frustrated. Oh, fucking spy. And you said the other one was where? 1-5? Oh my fucking god. Korean schools are set up so fucking weird. I'm sorry. Oh, dude. That's fair. I don't. Was I supposed to receive a code? Oh, honey. Sweet balls of fire. The next Morse code class will take place in classroom 1-4, so the person in charge should go to first year, classroom 1, and retrieve the Morse code chart. And remote control in advance. What the fuck are you talking about? Okay. Welcome back? Perhaps? Or not, maybe? Okay. So hey, you're never gonna believe this, Calypso. I found room 1-5. It's locked with a padlock that I don't have the key to. And by key I mean there's a combination on it. And I have zero clue what that's about. The ad monsters have released us. Good, good, good. Yeah, as you can see, me steppa, me clicky. Look at that. It's room 1-5. I'm assuming this has to do with the Morse code thing, but I'm not going all the way back on the other side of the world to get the Morse code thing. I'm not going to do it. Okay, thank you. I'm so sorry. Yes. Map. It's just getting from one place to the other is such a chore. Like, in the first game, it wasn't, because, like, they gave you, like, a crumb trail to follow, so, like, it didn't feel tedious. But this, it's like, I have to come all the way here, find out this is locked, run all the way back to the other side of the school, from this way because I can't use that way because those doors are locked. And it's just, and like there's nothing in between it, so it's just annoying as fuck. Excuse my language. I mean, I could really go for some H2 Wakwa right now. Delicious. Minerals. Oh, I feel the walls close again. Yeah, he's just, yeah. He could just smell me, I guess. In the first game, you use the remote on the TV in 1.4 and the cipher on the blackboard to get the lock combo, but if you really don't care, I have the code. Please give me the code. I am begging you to give me the code. Daddy, kitten, Daddy's begging you to give me the code. He doesn't care. Or... Fucking god damn it with you. Oh, and he's gonna beat me to death! Oh, god. No, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Ugh. Yeah, they have collision, so I couldn't run past him. Where the hell am I? No, they have he's a solid mass. It wasn't happening. Where the fuck even am I? Yeah. It was like, I hear you're cheating. And then he freaking gave me a bat to the head. Where am I? Oh, god damn it. And like, he doesn't laugh creepy like the janitor did. He doesn't have chase music. He's so this game is so boring. It's my fault. My fault. It's my fault. It's my fault. He said you wouldn't download a padlock. True. And he gives up so easy. Where's the thrill of the hunt? You wouldn't steal a passcode. Quickly, what's the passcode? What is it? 4848 what? Fuck. He was coming too. Give me your fucking book. Where is it? All your book belong to me. Give me that book. You are a god. And the other one was in the photo room? Okay, what about the steam post? I'm so sorry I ripped ass. Okay, I don't remember seeing a book in the photo club. Okay, see, that was scary. Why isn't that happening all the time? It said room 2-5, not 1-5. It's in the closet. Okay. Now I gotta find the photo room. I think that's on the floor I'm in. Oh fuck. Oh shit. Oh god. Can you just go away? Could you just leave Daddy alone? He's so tired. Mothman is so exhausted with you. Oh, fuck, it's not this floor. Yeah, like, it's there. The potential is there. But they really just kind of dropped it with him. Like, if they would have given him a creepy demonic laugh and, like, string chase music, he would have been pretty phenomenal. Oh, okay. Yeah, that would have been good. Anything. That's why I didn't get the book, because I don't know the code. Everything has a code, and I just don't get it. That's very true. Like, I've picked up every piece of paper I've come across, and I did not find a code for this fucking thing. Hold on. Does it have something to do with this? No. No, I don't think it does. You know, I don't got nothing. I got nothing. I'm so sorry, Calippo. I'm so sorry, but this is such a grueling task. I'm having fun because my friends are here. But like, if I was playing this game solo, I would not be having a good time. It's an environmental puzzle? The fuck does that mean? Oh. It's like I'm supposed to look at the photos or something? Ah. Oh, yes, I see. Understood. Turns out I didn't find out. Quit. Yeah, Artsy, I'm just so stubborn. Just so stubborn. Thanks. Let's go back up to room 110. Hope Big Daddy's not out here. You are this world, Jesus, and I respect and love you for it. Fuck, you do what I cannot. You do what I cannot do. You give me a strength that I cannot possess on my own. Oh, I did the bike clubs already. I actually did that one with my eyes. Well, Well, I do appreciate it. God fucking... God fucking shrug my shoulders because this game's pissing me off. Yeb. Book puzzle, and then maybe we'll see Sujin again. Hi, Cyrus. Hi, Anders. My two special little tabby men. My little tabitsus. Fuck this guy. Fuck this guy. Thank you. I appreciate the blams. Also, your stamina, even though they said it runs out, you get exhausted, it's not. It has not ran out on me once. Like, I've been sprinting pretty religiously. My name's Jin Sok, or whatever the hell the main character's name is, and I have a gun. My name's Jin Sok, and I have a gun. Fuck me. Fuck me. Okay, then what do you want Daddy to do? Huh. Same. Lee Heeman is all that matters. I want my boy back. I miss him dearly. And fuck, at least the first game too, like, it was like a dating game too, so like... No. Where is he? So you got to do that too. Fucking... Ah! Okay. He was a little bit smarter that time. He was a little bit smarter. He's gonna come in here, I'm about to be so pissed. Yeah, you were trying to return the journal to that girl he was gonna confess to, or you could choose between her and like 2 other girls. Yeah, so like you had a lot to do in the first game. Because you know, it's fucking White Day. So there was the underlying date theme. So far, nothing. I don't want to touch fucking Sujin. I don't want her at all. Like, they shouldn't even call it this White Day. Because where's the fucking romance? That's what I'm saying. I haven't had any of that yet. Can you read that in the wolf? In the wolf in a bear trap, Sundowny voice, please? What? What part? The thing you just, typed? Okay. Soul Ghost. Make chocolate. Get the girlfriend. Or die trying. Oh. I can't do it as good as you because you are the wolf. You're the wolf boy. Thanks. Not correct? Oh, dude, fuck off. Thank you. I'm not Korean. I'm not Korean, Dad. Kitten, please help Dad. Just help him, he doesn't want to do it. Dad can admit that he's bad at what he does. Dad can admit that. Huh. Oh, shit. Okay, where's the note? There's a note in here? Did I already get the note? Must have already got the note. It's on a desk. What's the note called? Must have already got it. I think the bookcase in our class is haunted. Why does strange stuff happen when I organize the book for Thursday's schedule? Okay, so we're looking for Thursday. Ah, here we are. Science, social, KHPE, music. Holy shit. Let me write it down. Let Daddy write down the order. And yeah, Archie, that's exact. No. Alright, let me just write that down. Oh. Science. Social. Age. P. Daddy's trying to fucking do work, Ghost Kitten. Music. MT. Tech. Got it. Fucking buddy Simon. Oh wait, the kitties want to go outside. Hold on, fuck shit. Babies want to go out? Babies want to go out? They go, babies. They go, babies. Babies. Oh no, Cleo. The fucking policeman, Cleo. Jesus. Bless the kitties. Alright, let's do it. Science. Social. KH. If you could fuck off, that would be swell. The music. T. Tech. Key to the theater club. Okay, now I gotta go. You've done it. I did it, Dad. Thank you for believing in me. Thank you for trusting me. With your bank. Alright, now let's go find that theater club room, eh? Good. I haven't seen a single ghost, though. Sure do miss him. Sure do miss having a ghost about putting me in situations, as it were. Yeah. But even on easy, they would still like jump at you sometimes. I don't know, fuck it. Can I switch the difficulty? It's too late. That's so sad if that's the truth. Oh god dang it. Okay, so where is the room? Ah, fuck, shit. Okay, he got me that time. He got me. He did. He got me. He can have that one. Oh god damn it. Did you go away so I could do work, dude? Yeah, he is just a small fries. If I was on hard, he'd be after me, though, for sure. Oh, this isn't correct. Look, this guy in his nose. No! You won't have me, I won't let you. I just want to conclude this section and go the fuck to sleep. I've had enough of this. Oh my god. Which one opens? Daddy. Oh, thank God. There was a time when the gingerbread man disappeared from the snack house. The gingerbread man would often disappear when we looked away for a moment as if it was alive. Fortunately, it wasn't that difficult to find him. There are always crumbs scattered where the gingerbread man is. So if the gingerbread man disappears from the snack house again, you have to look carefully in the halls for any crumbs. Are you telling me that there's going to be sentient gingerbread walking around these halls? Dude, what do you want me to do with that information? The theater club and bicycle club are both disbanded because of the bicycle club incident. Okay. Oh, dude. I thought we was gonna be done. I thought we were like gonna get a cutscene or something. I was prepared to just sit back and enjoy my life. Turns out I'm not allowed to have that reprieve. Look in the hall for cookie. Oh, a girl killed herself. That was the incident. Is there about to be a demonic gingerbread cookie in here? Oh, god damn it. Hey, bud. Why are you angry? Why are you so... Hey, whoa! That's what it feels like. This is no longer a Korean... Yeah? Mm-hmm. Thanks. Yeah, this is no longer a Korean horror game. It's a Santa Hee-Hoo game. Everyone liked that my ass. They tortured who was ever sitting in that. No, fuck, God, fucking shit, damn. He's not even scary. He's not scary. So this Hee-Hoo birthday party is, that's gonna be the theme for my birthday party. Yeah, I do hear to this. A giant gingerbread man is going to be around the corner. That's what it feels like. I'm going to walk in there and there's going to be like a circle of them. Wait, so where does he go? What the fuck else do I need? Oh my god. There's 3 more gingerbread missing. Okay. Sure. Fine. Okay. Okay. What do you mean go back to the birthday party? There was no other gingerbread man in there. It was just the guy, it was just the one dude. No, I already read that before I died. No, trust me, I know it seems like I'm not yeah. Shut your whore mouth up. But there's only 2 of these rooms. Where are the other gingerbread men at? I want that cake. That cake. Munch, 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 munch. That's true.
여기서
Huh?
뭐하니?
Oh, fuck. Oh no. Oh Jesus. I didn't save.
여자 친구?
Kuchisake Onna, please leave.
그럼 난 어때?
Oh, god damn it.
나 이뻐?
You're gorgeous. You're so gorgeous. Oh my god, dude. None of these answers are good. What do I say? No? I say I don't know because of the mask? First? You want me to say this?
운이 좋네. 오늘 내 얼굴은 안 봐도 돼.
Thank you. Thank you, Kuchisake Onna. I appreciate it. I was just trying to find some gingerbread bread. Thank you. Thanks, Queen. Appreciate it. Alright, cookie time. Oh yeah, then she takes it off and she goes, and then she fucking shoves me in her gob. What's up, Dad? You're gorgeous. I know about the bookcases. Why do these notes keep respawning? It's a very wild game. Yummy gingy bed. Where's the last bread man? Ugh. It's gotten to that point where my eyes hurt so fucking bad. Just from staring at this. Cookie man. What do you mean? Where's the cookie boy? Wait, did I get them all? Did I get? I think. Did I get them all? You don't have to have info on Cookie Man. I'll figure it out. I just got so. No, there was still 3 more missing. I need 1 more guy. I just got thrown for a loop by Miss Ona. Or whatever. Nope. I'm so tired of this guy. Why does this ruin my day? Ugh. Oh, god damn it. No cookies in class for daddy. Chill! Chill out! Oh, dude, I'm so fucking exhausted mentally. Can I just die of a heart attack? That'd be so preferable right now. Just do it, you fucking pussy. I can't. I can't do it anymore. Not tonight. I can't do it anymore tonight. I'm fucking losing my mind. We're gonna save here, and then I'm gonna go to bed, and we'll try more of this shit Monday, I guess. Thanks for coming. It was fun. I'm sorry if it wasn't like all that interesting to watch. It's way more boring of a game than I thought it was gonna be. But yes, fins. Okay, man, get those fat Z's. I will be plagued by everything for always. Yes. Yes. Good night, friends. Thanks for coming. Have a good night. Bye-bye.